Good evening, everybody. This is Todd Collins, Julianne Collins, and Bob Reed stopping in here on another Wednesday night for our Team Nexus training. So glad you guys were all able to make it. I know we haven't been advertising and promoting this very much. Julianne and I had a meeting today with our I don't know what you want to call her, the IT person that handles our CRM, which gives us the ability to start sending out both emails and texts, Bob as well. And we're working on trying to create campaigns so that we can start doing a better job of blasting out notifications that things like this are going on. But they are in the band app. So for those of you who watch the band app and are here tonight, welcome. For those of you that are catching the replay for whatever reason, if this is the wrong time zone for you or it's difficult for you to hop on, I get it. There's no way for me to make everybody happy with these trainings. So we're doing it when it makes the most sense to the people on the West Coast because they need to be able to get home and get their computer set up, probably stuff something in their kids' mouths, and be ready to sit down and learn something. And tonight, I'm going to just share. It's kind of nice that it's a small group tonight. I'm actually going to share something really from deep in my heart. It's called the long game. And it's a slide deck that I've been working on for quite a while that I've never said this out loud before, so I guess I will. I've been sort of prompted for quite a while to write a book, and I'm in the process of putting together that entire process. I've got somebody who's going to help me with getting it published and out there in the world. But for quite a while, I've had God pressing on me to put a book out to talk to people about helping people. And I'm not going to give much more away tonight on that topic. But one of the chapters that I've been working on is how to see people before they see themselves. And that's a chapter that's about midway, and there's 11 chapters in the book that I'm working on so far. I don't think it's going to get any bigger than that. But one of the chapters midway is on the topic I'm gonna share with you guys tonight. So the only person there's actually two people who've seen this tonight. One of them is Bob Reed. The other one is my wife Julianne. And I'm going to share this with you guys because I want you to understand my heart and where I'm coming from with the way I want to be a leader. I know Bob Reed. He said some things to me earlier today that I'm not going to say out loud on this, but I know he echoes in his heart, what you're about to see here tonight. This is a short video. It's about 17 minutes long. I call that shorts, and some of the trainings that we've done in the past are 2 hours, 3 hours long. So I consider this just a short synopsis of what I'd like you guys to understand is behind, a few weeks ago we talked about the Nexus journey and sort of where we see building a foundation in elite with the understanding that people are what we're building, not a business is what we're building. The business is the byproduct. Elite is the vehicle that we're driving in said byproduct. But I want to share this with you guys tonight so you get a little bit of an understanding about what Julianne and I are all about and the mission that we feel that God's put in front of us to really make a massive impact on the lives of anybody who puts their hand up and says, I want to be part of this culture. And it's a very special culture to Julianne and I hope it's something that you guys can all adopt. And maybe along the way, especially with tonight, I can change your thinking just a little bit about the way you treat the people that are in your life, whether that's people that are in your elite business, your family, your friends, your coworkers. This applies to every walk in life. It's not just specific to how to build a great network marketing business, but it certainly is paramount to building the one that you want to build the right way. One that will have, like Bob has, 40 years of relationships and sustainability and adaptability to be able to overcome any challenges that happen in the marketplace. And at the end of this, I'm going to let Bob say a few words about his interpretation of what he saw earlier, and he's going to see again here for the second time in the same day. So I'm looking forward to that. Before I get into that, though, I do want to say two things. Number one, Julianne and I are heading to Boulder City, Nevada on Saturday We've joined a group. You guys have heard me talk about this called the Icon Mastermind Group. We have two coaches there, Brian Fryer and Rob Sperry, who are industry legends with taking people from six-figure incomes to seven-figure incomes. That's really all they coach now. If you don't have a six-figure income, that's okay. I'm going to take what they give us in our monthly trainings, and we go away on these retreats with them and try and bring that back to you guys in the weeks and months ahead. That said, we're going to be on a plane on Saturday. So Saturday, I'm going to ask somebody to let me know that they're available. Maybe it's Bob or Danny or whoever. If you don't have the ability, it's okay. But just shoot me a message, either a text or something, and let me know you're free on Saturday. I do I think it's 2 o'clock on Saturday Eastern time. I have committed to doing a weekly opportunity meeting for Elite for all of our team members. I'm going to be in a plane on Saturday, so it's going to be kind of complicated for me to do. So I'm going to ask somebody from the group if they're willing to sign in, log in. Even if you have your own Zoom, we'll just post in the band app your Zoom link, so I don't have to get in the middle of trying to figure out how to let you in and all that stuff. If you don't have one, that's fine. We'll use mine and we'll figure that out. But all you're going to have to do is push play on the 15-minute explainer video that I did that's been up in the band app for a few weeks. If you don't have a copy of that or access to it, I'll get you one. So you'll have all the resources. All you have to do, open the Zoom room, welcome the people that are coming, push play on that. Make sure you share your sound, push play on that video. At the end of it, stop your share screen, come back to like you see right now, you presenting to whoever's in that room, and just ask them if they have any questions. If you can't answer them definitively, I want you to do so. If you can't answer them definitively, I want you to direct them to either Bob or myself or whoever your team leader is that enrolled you in Elite, and we'll be more than happy to make sure those questions get answered so those people can decide what's going on and if Elite is right for them. Number two on that topic, the following Wednesday, guess where I am again? Right now, I'll be sitting on a plane. So I can't do this Wednesday training. So Julianne and I huddled on that earlier today, and she gave me her unbelievably good wisdom, which is pick another day, dummy. She didn't actually say dummy, but that's what kind of came across as like, you got to do this, pick another day. So rather than dump off training on somebody else next Wednesday, and by the way, I'm going to stop booking flights on Wednesdays and Saturdays. That's going to be one of the commitments that we have going forward. These flights have been booked for quite a while, and I can't change them. If I could, I would. But going forward, after we get back from this trip, Saturdays I'm going to be doing the call. Wednesdays I'm going to be doing the training as best that I possibly can, unless something else comes up. And we've got a few events that are coming up. We'll talk about that in just a second. They're going to make some changes happen in that. But instead of doing no call next week, what I'm going to do is push the call to Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern time. And unless someone has one of my leaders, I should say, has a major objection to that, that's the day I want to do that. I do need to confirm with Bob because that's news to him that 3 o'clock Saturday will work. And we have what I believe is going to be, and I don't say this with anything other than humility. I believe that Bob and I have been working on something together for quite a while, technically 5 years. Bob's been working on this with me, and the culmination of that effort is going to be shown on next Saturday. I don't know what that date is off the top of my head right now. I think it's the first. But next Saturday, not this one coming, the one after it, at 3 p.m. Eastern time, I believe it will be the most important training that anyone here has seen. Some of you have seen parts of this training, some of you have seen all of this training, but I would encourage everybody that is listening live now or on the recording, do whatever you can to get every member that you have of any business that you have. I don't care what it is. If it's network marketing, great. If you're a financial planner, great. If you're a real estate agent, great. If you're a mortgage loan officer, great. If you're a tax preparer, great. I don't care what you are or who you know. Anybody that's in a business that is dealing with people and anybody more importantly that's a prospect that you might have that you want to bring into your network marketing business, you're going to want to be on this call. It's going to be pretty epic. I've spent, I don't even know how many, I'll just say dozens. It's probably up over 100 hours of my time working on this presentation. And it's something that Bob has been working on and perfecting for 40 years ish. So I'm really excited about that training, which is why I don't want to send it off to somebody else to do. I told Julianne I'm just going to record it and let somebody else play it. And before it even got out of my mouth, I went, I got to be there live for this one. This is going to be that epic. So I have to be there. I'm going to do my best. Bob and I will co-host that event as well, as long as that works into his schedule. And we're going to give you guys something extremely special. I think this is something for the generations, in my personal opinion. I really do. All right. So with that said, Julianne, real quick, did I miss any announcements or big topics I need to talk about?
I don't think so. You did good.
Great, thank you. Um, we have had a lot of fun over the last few weeks, Julianne and I have, with a few of the new things that we're learning. One of them, the attraction marketing piece that I've talked about before. And I'm really excited to say that we've had already one this week sign up from that. We've got another one that's sitting on the bubble right now, ready to go. We've had a couple in the past that have already said yes to Elite because of that. So I want you guys to know that in August, I'm going to start having a small segment of every one of our Wednesday night trainings be a little bit about attraction marketing. We're always going to focus on the basics of how to work with your warm market, build your list, work your list, do the peak interest, all the things that are required. We'll talk more about that later in our training. But I want you guys to understand that we're going to start pulling these resources that we have, that Julianne and I have either hired or partnered with or whatever. We're going to do our best to start bringing some more of that information to you guys so that, hey, I don't think anybody here would say, you know what, if you signed up four people in the last 30 days from attraction marketing, or four people in the last 60 days is probably accurately said, and from attraction marketing, that's probably four more than most people have from doing this. So I want to make sure that we're giving those skill sets to you guys, bringing that's just the high level training. You don't got to pay for it. You don't got to hire a coach. You don't got to pay for a system or a program. These are things that Julianne and I are starting to, I wouldn't say perfect, but we're definitely getting better at. And I alluded a minute ago that we're going to Saturday. Um, right, I just forgot the name of the city again. Bullhead City, Boulder City, Nevada, where we're heading to on Saturday. That's the Icon Masterminds 5 day symposium that is, I think, going to be like having a fire hose shoved in our mouth and water pulled on full force for 5 days. We're both very much excited and looking forward to that event. I promise you, as much as I hate paper and pens, I'm going to fill up notebooks full of things that I can bring back to you guys. And between what Bob's doing with his systems that he's created over the years and what we're learning on some of this new stuff, it's, Bob always talks about 21st century marketing. We got to look at the other things that are out there and evaluate them. Is it for us or is it not for us? And you don't have to do everything that we're doing, but I want to make sure that if your brain says, I think I should do something with pen and paper, that we're showing you how to do that. If it's, I want to make sure I'm doing something with a CRM, we show you how to do that. If it's something that with attraction marketing, that we can show you how to do that with social medias. And when I say attraction marketing, that's what I mean. Social media, working with your cold market, all of these things, they're kind of like going to, I don't even know what a good buffet is anymore. It used to be Shoney's. I don't know what a good buffet is anymore. But if you go to a good buffet and they've got Chinese food and Italian food and Mexican food and fish sticks and whatever, you get to pick what you want to eat. You don't have to eat everything on the menu. And I don't want to make you, I'm not force feeding you guys anything. I just want to try, we want to try, Bob, Julianne, and I want to continue to try bring in all the different things that you might find valuable for building your business, and then you can do with them what you want. I still see that iPhone user that ends in 3051 has their hand up. I'm going to go ahead and lower their hand. If you actually did have a question, didn't do that on accident, stick your hand back up after this gets done, and I'll be more than happy to answer your question. All right, let's share my screen and get this show on the road here. This is not going to be a long training tonight unless you guys have a bunch of Q&A at the end. Let's see here. Bob, can you give me a thumbs up that you're looking at the long game on my screen? I do want to set this up real quick so that there's no confusion here. Number one, you guys all know Mark Aceta now. That name's been thrown around ever since you joined Elite. I believe he's formally signed a contract now. If he hasn't, that's with days away, as being a contract trainer for Elite. For most of you that don't know this, many of the leaders in Elite and a lot of the bigger producers in Elite came from another network marketing company called World Ventures. They were the largest and by far the most prolific travel company that was tied to network marketing in the last probably 40 years. I think Bob said this the other day, maybe it was Jake Kevorkian, I forget. Like the original network marketing company was a travel-based marketing company. It was something that goes way, way, way back. One of the originals, I shouldn't say the original. And World Ventures, I believe, got to $960 million a year in annual revenue. That is a mind-numbing number for any company that's in the network marketing space. So I started to say Mark Aceta was probably unequivocally, I won't say probably, he was unequivocally, Jake said this the other day, the number one reason why World Ventures exploded the way that it did. His training style, the techniques that he shows, the conferences that he puts together have just been absolutely epic. And for those of you who don't know, there's an acceleration event coming up. It's a virtual event on August 4th, 5th, and 6th. I just found out yesterday that that's not an evening event. It's actually 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. That thing is a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the 4th, 5th, and 6th, whatever that is. That acceleration event, many of us on this call and several other people from our elite team joined that back in June. And I can say personally, mind blown, changed forever. The way I think about network marketing, how excited I am to be part of this industry. I've always loved it ever since I got introduced to it 5 years ago. Whole nother level has been exposed to me now. And so thrilled that Mark is part of that. Anyway, he's signed on as the contract marketing, sorry, the contract trainer for Elite. And he has a skit that he does that's very famous called The Gambler. And in that skit, Mark talks about he's got a famous phrase, some will, some won't, so what? I say some will, so what? Who cares? It doesn't matter. So what? Who cares? Either way, the goal is to introduce peak interest, try and get people on a presentation, then a freeway call, get them enrolled, get them onboarded, rinse and repeat as necessary, work through them into their sphere of influence and try and bring, whether they stay in the business long term or not, use the people that use them to get to the people that are underneath them, help them build a business. If they stick around, great. If they don't, who cares? Again, we're just trying to continue to exponentiate, as Bob always says, and build down and through, or he says leapfrog over and build through anybody that you enroll. So Mark uses this gambler analogy, and he talks about going through cards at a rapid pace, and you're looking for aces. And this training is a great training that he does, and I'm taking nothing away from that at all. The training basically says win fast, lose fast, turn the cards over, figure out who wants to be in your organization. Maybe they're an eight. Great. Let them go do their thing. Support them when they want it. Don't when they don't. Don't. They may never want to be more than an eight, but every once in a while you're going to turn over that ace. And when you find a couple three aces, you don't really have to work anymore. That's the way his training kind of goes. You're going to just watch explosion happen underneath you. I see Stan nodding her head. She's been to several of the acceleration and the A View from the Edge trainings that he's done and events that he's done. So in Mark's world, you're turning over cards as fast as you can looking for aces. And in my world, I want to do the same thing. But if somebody pops up as an ace of clubs or a jack of diamonds, they're still people, right? And I want to make sure that all of us on this team understand that those people all deserve the same love and care and attention from us that we would want given to us if somebody else turned our card over. All right. So I think that's as teed up as best as I can do it. I'm going to go ahead and play this. Like I said, at 17 minutes, I'm going to mute myself and we'll have a conversation about it when it's done. One more quick caveat. I just free flowed record this last night for night before last for the first time. I haven't perfected it. I haven't gone through and did the voice inflections and all the other things. I just read the slide deck through. I've been working on this for freaking ever. But I just wanted to read the slide deck through one time, let Julianne's emotions pop up. Saw Bob Reed's today, and I want to understand how you guys feel about this afterwards. So please bring your comments to me when this is done today. All right, here we go.
Today, I want to do something
Hold on.
has that.
That stupid volume's not up again. There we go. All right, we'll try again.
Today, I want to do something a little different. This is not going to be a training on recruiting. It is not going to be a training on prospecting. Right now, I want to challenge the way we see people. Because over the years, I've become convinced of something. Extraordinary leaders don't have access to better people. They've simply learned to see people differently. And once you see people differently, you lead differently, you invite differently, you encourage differently, you build differently. So let's talk about the long game. Imagine the dealer spreads out a brand new deck of playing cards, and every single card is face down. You can't see the twos, you can't see the fives, you can't see the tens, you can't see the kings, you can't see the aces. You have absolutely no idea what's underneath. Now, let me ask you a question. If every card is face down, would you argue with someone over which one of them was an ace? Of course not, because you don't know. And that's exactly the point. Every person you'll ever meet is face down. We don't know their story. We don't know what they've survived. We don't know what they're carrying. We don't know what miracle they prayed for again last night. We don't know what broke their heart. We don't know what dream they quietly buried years ago. And we certainly don't know what God still has planned for their life. We simply don't know. Here's where most of us get into trouble. We meet someone, and within seconds, we've already made up our mind. Too young, too old, too rough around the edges, too successful, not interested. We do this without even realizing it. We assign a value to a card we haven't even turned over yet. Sometimes we judge people by the clothes they wear, sometimes by the cars they drive, sometimes by the job they have, sometimes by the confidence they project, sometimes by one conversation, sometimes by one mistake, sometimes by one bad day. And the tragedy is we often confuse a single moment with an entire life. What if the person you almost walked past becomes your greatest leader? What if the person you thought was too rough around the edges was only one breakthrough away from changing thousands of lives? What if the greatest mistake we ever make is deciding someone's future before they've had the chance to discover it themselves? I want to introduce you to something that doesn't actually exist. A three-sided playing card. I know, playing cards only have two sides, but people don't. People have three. And if you'll understand these three sides, you'll never look at another person the same way again. The first side is face down. This is everything we don't know. Their story, their pain, their victories, their failures, their dreams, their fears, their calling, their potential. Everything that's hidden from us is on this side. And here's the important part. Sometimes it's hidden from them too. Eventually the card gets turned over. Now we finally see something. This is their present face. Who they are today. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, today. Maybe they're confident. Maybe they're scared. Maybe they're thriving. Maybe they're barely hanging on. Maybe today they are a 3. Maybe today they are a jack. Whatever they're showing you is simply their present face. Here's where I believe most people make a big mistake. We assume who someone is today is who they'll always be. But what if we're wrong? What if today isn't forever? What if this is simply one moment in a much bigger story? It may be forever, maybe not. Think about that for a second. Potential doesn't live in the past. Potential doesn't even live in the present. Potential lives between who someone is today and who they're willing to become tomorrow. That's where growth happens. That's where belief matters. That's where leadership matters. The future face isn't who someone is pretending to be. It isn't wishful thinking. It's who they can become. Through coaching, through belief, through growth, through discipline, through encouragement, through faith, through time. This is the third side, the side most people never see, not because it doesn't exist, but because they stop looking too soon. Average leaders evaluate people. Great leaders envision people. Average leaders ask, who are they? Great leaders ask, who could they become? That's a completely different question, and it leads to a completely different organization. I want to encourage you to remember something for the rest of your life. Never confuse someone's present face with their future face, because if you do, you'll limit them. You'll limit your organization, and you may even limit what God is trying to do in their life. Great leaders don't ignore reality. They simply refuse to believe that today is the end of the story. I want you to picture a photograph, not a clear one, a blurry one. Most people see themselves through blurry snapshots. A failure, a mistake, a disappointment, a rejection, one bad season, one painful chapter, one difficult day. But a blurry snapshot was never meant to define an entire life. Tomorrow is still being written. Almost everyone listening to me has that day. The day something happened, the day someone left, the day someone said something, the day you failed, the day you quit, the day you believed you weren't enough. We all have a that day. It's important that we don't judge someone's forever from a blurry picture of that day, because that's exactly what we do. We freeze people at their worst moment, their biggest mistake, their hardest season, and then we assume that's who they are. Transformation often begins not the day a person changes, but the day someone chooses to see them differently. Think about that. Transformation doesn't always begin inside the person. Sometimes it begins inside the leader, inside the parent, inside the coach, inside the spouse, inside the friend. Someone chooses to believe there's more, and that belief creates room for growth. A snapshot captures a moment. A story reveals a life. Average people see a snapshot and decide. Great leaders see the story that's still unfolding. That's why they don't quit on people. That's why they don't label people. That's why they don't reduce someone to one chapter when the author hasn't finished writing the book. I want you to think about someone. Don't say their name. Just picture them. Who saw something in you before you could see it in yourself? Who refused to define you by your worst day? Who looked past your present face and believed in your future face? Just take a second and thank God for that person. Because without people like that, most of us wouldn't be who we are today. For years, I thought if I could just build an impressive enough image, people would finally believe I was somebody. So I chased success. I chased money. I chased the nicest clothes. I chased the nicest cars, the biggest houses. And if I'm being completely honest, I wasn't trying to impress other people. I was trying to convince myself I had value, because underneath all of it, I still wasn't sure who I was. People saw confidence. They didn't see insecurity. People saw success. They didn't see fear. People saw a guy who looked like he had it all together. They didn't see someone who still needed approval. The mask was impressive, but the man behind the mask was exhausted. The biggest lie wasn't what someone else had said about me. The biggest lie was the one I repeated to myself, that my value came from what I owned, what I earned, what people thought of me, how impressive I looked. But none of those things could answer the one question that I was really asking. Who am I when nobody's watching? There comes a moment in some people's lives when everything changes, not because they planned it, not because they earned it, but because God stepped into the story. That moment came for me at a men's retreat in Michigan. It was called The Return. I thought I was going to a retreat. God knew I was coming home. If I'm being completely honest, I wasn't looking for God. Not really. I had been through a lot. I carried more hurt than hope, more anger than peace. I thought God was disappointed in me. And to be completely transparent, I wasn't much of a fan of his either. I believed he was against me. Looking back, I realized I had believed a lie. The lie whispered, if people knew who you really are, what you've really done, what you've thought, they'd never want to be around you. Maybe you've heard that voice too. I believed it for years. And when you believe a lie long enough, it starts to feel like the truth. One evening, the men at the retreat played a message. It wasn't condemnation. It wasn't guilt. It wasn't another list of everything I needed to fix. It was a message about the love of God. For the first time in my life, I heard that God's love wasn't waiting for me to become worthy. His love already had made a way through Jesus. And sitting there, I broke. For years, I thought I had to become a better man so God could love me. That weekend, I discovered something completely different. God hadn't changed. His love hadn't changed. I had. Or maybe a better way to say it is, the way I saw him finally changed. For the first time, I stopped looking at myself through shame, through failure, through performance, through pride, through the image I had spent years trying to build. And I began seeing myself through what Jesus had already done for me. And that changed everything. Did I become perfect that weekend? No, not even close. I still have things God is working on in me today. But I came home a different man. Not because I'd finally figured life out, because I'd finally found the right lens. And once you begin seeing yourself through God's grace, you can never go back to seeing yourself through the lie. You may be wondering, Todd, what does any of this have to do with building a business? Fair question. The answer, everything. Because if those men hadn't seen something in me that I couldn't yet see in myself, I wouldn't be doing any of this today. Everything changed because someone refused to judge my forever based on a blurry picture of my that day. Those men didn't see my addiction. They didn't see my pride. They didn't see my failures. They looked beyond my present face and believed there was a future face worth fighting for. They played the long game. Now it's our turn. Our turn to see people differently. Our turn to believe first. Our turn to encourage first. Our turn to refuse to reduce people to one chapter, one season, or one mistake. One of the biggest mistakes leaders make is spending their entire lives looking for aces. I don't think that's our job. Our job isn't to find extraordinary people. Our job is to help ordinary people discover the extraordinary person God already created them to become. That's leadership. Transformation often begins not the day a person changes, but the day someone chooses to see them differently. That person might be you. The next person you meet may be carrying the next great idea, the next great leader, the next great testimony, or the next great breakthrough. Or they may simply be carrying a lie they've believed for years. Either way, they deserve someone who sees beyond today. Believe in people before they believe in themselves. Encourage them before they're confident. Love them before they think they're lovable. Speak life before they can hear it themselves, because sometimes your belief becomes the bridge to theirs. Treat every card the same, not because every card becomes an ace, because every person is created in the image of God. Every conversation deserves respect. Every invitation deserves sincerity. And every person deserves dignity, not because of what they might someday do, because of who they already are. Once you begin seeing people this way, you'll never build your business the same way. You'll never parent the same way. You'll never lead the same way. You'll never look at yourself the same way. Because the long game was never really about cards. It was always about people. Before we finish, I want you to think about one person, not 10, just one. Who have you already decided isn't worth believing in? Who have you already labeled? Who have you quietly written off? Who have you judged by a blurry picture of that day? What if you're wrong? What if the person you've given up on is one conversation away from discovering who they were created to become? What if you've mistaken their present face for their future face? I'm not asking you to change the world tomorrow. I'm asking you to change one conversation. See one person through a different lens. Encourage one person. Believe in one person. Invite one person. Think about it. Someone believed in you before you believed in yourself. Someone encouraged you when you couldn't see your own potential. Someone looked beyond your present face and believed there was a future face worth fighting for. Now it's your turn. The next person you meet is still face down. You don't know. You can't know. And maybe that's exactly how God intended it. Because if we already knew who the aces were, we'd never learn to love everyone else the same. Thank you for letting me share my heart today. I hope you'll never look at another person the same way again. Remember, every card is face down. Don't judge someone's forever by a blurry picture of that day. See the future face. Believe first. Love first. Encourage first. And maybe, just maybe, the next life that's transformed will begin because you choose to see someone differently. Thank you.
All right. First of all, in case you're wondering what it was I heard at that retreat that broke me and changed me, and I don't say this, I try to be as transparent as I can, so I'm just going to say this. I was in the worst place you could possibly imagine when I went to that retreat. I didn't even want to go. I had made a commitment to a couple men in my men's group at church to go, but my world could not have been any more messed up than it was in that moment. And there's a guy named Graham Cook, and he had what we call a prophetic utterance where God, through him, allowed him to speak some truth into a group of people at his church, and his message was called The Inheritance. And I just dropped that. Julianne, maybe you can find the link to that and put it in the chat. But Graham Cook, The Inheritance, we had a worship service and they played this thing and it was 5 or 6 minutes long. I was on the ground for an hour with snot pouring out of my nose, weeping uncontrollably, and God broke me. So if you're curious what it was that I heard that gave me that transformation, that's what it was. Number two, so I've talked before about Julianne and I going to ANMP, the Associated Professional Network Marketing Professionals, or whatever it stands for. I can never remember, something like that. We went there right after the elite getaway, the traincation in Jamaica. And we met one of the two headline speakers there and got to hear her story. And it really brings home what I just shared with you guys. And I'm going to share exactly what she shared with us in slightly different words from the stage that day. And I want to start off with this relatively attractive woman comes up on stage. Her name is Adrienne Watley. She's the top income earner with a company called Bravenly. Okay. And at ANMP, you're not allowed to talk about your business. You're not allowed to talk about your product. You're just allowed, you just talk about what your experience is. You had 18 minutes or less to give a keynote speech, 60 of them in a row over 2.5, 3 days. Highly recommend you go next year if you haven't ever gone before. I'm going to Brad Barton you guys here. Most you don't have any idea who that means, but I'm going to show you a picture as best I can on my screen of a very large 20-something-year-old woman with terrible hair and terrible acne, believed she was living at the time in a single wide trailer. And that was the life that she had. And somebody reached out to her and encouraged her to enroll in that network marketing company. And I forget the exact details, but I think it was something like for 18 months, nobody would speak to her. She prospected with no results of any kind. Today, she's the top income earner with Bravenly. And I'm talking about more than $10 million a year in income, and we're not making income claims here. I'm just going to say that up front. This is just a true story. And I'm going to read the Facebook post she put up about that particular picture. I don't know if I'm going to get through this or not. I'm so lucky, huh? Nobody said that when I looked like this at 31. When Chris was so sick and I was breaking, nobody said that when I weighed 340 pounds. Nobody said that when I didn't have one Facebook follower. Nobody said that when everyone laughed at me. Nobody said that when I came in dead last. Nobody said that when it took me a year to get my first customer. Nobody said that when I cried myself to sleep every night. Would you have been proud to be in a picture with me? Would you have handpicked me as your shining star? Would you have believed in me? No, they did not. And it fired me up. I made up my dang mind and traveled every mile and paid every cent along the way to get where I am. I invested in my brain. I invested in my health. I invested in my mind. I invested in my future and I invested in people. I love people. Does life look different? Oh, yes, it does. This is a result of the decision I made that only I could make. How could I lead anyone when I could not even lead myself well? One day I made up my mind and I cried it out and I said, I will be free. And I worked for it every day, looking to nobody but me. I didn't look for someone to save me. I didn't look to a bottle. I didn't look to the lottery. I didn't look for someone to work harder than me. I said, Adrienne Watley, get up. Fast fact. This is why I can see greatness in people and pull it out like I don't know, it's kind of crazy. Even I admit it's something I know I am doing that I know that I'm doing what I'm called to do. Because I'm sorry, but it's because nobody saw it in me. People didn't even look or speak to me. It only made me go harder. But this is the hard part. You have to stop feeling sorry for yourself in health or wealth and realize you have to go grind. You cannot whine and win at the same time. I was me on the inside. My brain was there, but everything else around me was falling apart and nobody was coming to save me. I stood up and said, "Game on." If you ever do that, you'll make it. And then the whole dang world will call you lucky. But the great thing, you'll have the receipts. I don't have one thing that I didn't build. And truly, you won't either. What are you going to be in 10 years? Don't tell me, show me. Do you even realize what you're capable of? Do you? If you find me now, I apologize in advance. You'll be wildly distracted in my life today and who I look like on Facebook versus who I am and where I came from. My following has seen me fight for years, and that's why it's so strong. I love them dearly. You can change, you can win, and the only thing that happens overnight is making up your mind. Get big mad. Get up today. We're losing time. Let's go. P.S. I now help people stop before they get this far every day, and you bet I'm passionate. And I'm just going to show you guys, whoops, crap, one more thing here. Hit the wrong button. This is Adrian Watley today. Because somebody believed in her. And she believed in herself enough to wait for the somebody who believed in her to show up. But when her mentors did, and she had the right mindset and the right heart set, she's earning 8 figures a year just a few years later. And you can too. And Julianne and I believe in you. And with that, I got to stop. Julianne, you want to add anything to that?
Just the fact that I'm so proud of you and your sweet, tender heart. That was beautiful.
Thank you. Ooh. I don't do that very often, but when I do, I do. Bob, what do you got?
Powerful. That's all I can say. It's just powerful. I mean, this just exemplifies everything that we do in network marketing. It's a one another business. It's people helping people. And your story with her exemplifies what my greatest mentor taught me from day one. If you got a burning desire, you're willing to do the work, and you're coachable and teachable, you can succeed if you're at the right place at the right time with the right company. And you couldn't be better in an opportunity than a ground floor with the experience and the knowledge and the industry and the market that you're talking about and the comp plan that's available here. If ever you wanted to change your life financially, this is your time. And your first 17 minutes embodies leadership. That's what it's all about. And when I saw it today, the first time, it was more meaningful to me this time. I shared with you that what I saw in your event is what happened to me when I accepted Christ. I accepted Christ late in my life, 1992. And I know the Lord put network marketing in front of me before I truly accepted Jesus into my heart. Because I was about to make one of the biggest mistakes of my career in buying a franchise, which I had negotiated for well over a year, had gotten my loan already out, and then I got introduced to network marketing. It's a mini franchise business. Yeah, I vetted the industry. I did all that. But because of network marketing, because you're working with people and you're helping people and people are helping you, it's one another business. I was open to be able to be introduced to Christ by my secretary at a luncheon,
Hmm.
a downtown luncheon that I got tricked into going to. Okay. But I was humble enough at that time to say, I made a commitment. I'm going to go. I'm not going to cancel. And that changed my life forever. And then your whole story is nothing but when you believe enough in other people and you help enough people get what they want, you will automatically receive what you want. Another great Zig Ziglar
Hmm.
taught us that. And that's why we work on ourselves every day. And I shared with Todd as much success as I've had in network marketing in 35 plus years, 20 years in the corporate world, but 35 years here. It made me hit it. I was able to get what I truly desired to be with my family, to be at home, and not to have all the stress of that corporate job. I was blessed. The Lord provided that with me through network marketing at a very young age of 50. I was only 50, totally debt free, millions. I never had to work again in my life if I did not want to, as long as I didn't live extravagantly. And we never have. We believe in being good stewards of what the Lord has provided. We don't waste. But there's another principle that's embedded in what you have in that story. And that's, to me, one of the greatest 17 minutes that we're going to be able to use that infinitum here in this team, and people should be able to continue using that. But one of the things in the job description is I really share with people that the best thing you can do in working on yourself is read 15 minutes in the Bible every day, because it's the greatest leadership training book that ever existed. And all the greats that we talk about that we want to learn from, the Robert Schulers, the Zig Ziglars, the Napoleon Hills, the Earl Nightingales, the John Kalishes, the Og Mandinos, the Stephen Coveys, the John Maxwell, Burke Hedges, John Milton Fogg, on and on and on. And yeah, we can throw in Bob Proctor,
Napoleon
okay,
Hill.
Napoleon Hill. Every one of the great leaders have always said everything they teach came from that book. That's why I encourage people to read 15 minutes in the Bible. Doesn't matter what I tell people, it doesn't matter what your religion is. Doesn't matter who you are, what you believe or not believe. If you want to learn the greatest leadership principles that's ever been written, they're right there in that book. And so just try it. I want to do, and the thing that I've been missing out of all the years of success is what I shared with Todd, and I shared, I think, in the training I did in the master training. One of the most successful persons in the world of all time had everything And we all know it, Solomon. And if you go look, Solomon said, success without succession is failure. And I really believe that. The thing that putting together that system that was highly duplicatable, highly simple, enabled me to have success with average everyday people. I never had aces. I never got an ace, but I did. The people were aces themselves. They just didn't know it. And they became the aces. Otherwise, we would have never had the success we had in all three companies. All three companies, the companies quit on me and us. We didn't quit on them. But because of that, we rose to the top in every one of those companies. And I know that y'all are going to be able to do this. And I know leadership is, I'm going to see, I may be walking the streets of gold with Jesus, but I'm going to look back down on y'all and I'm going to know that there was secession because I'm looking at it here right now. And y'all going to succeed bigger than you ever imagined because you got an opportunity. As Marcus says, you can be at the right place at the wrong time. You can be at wrong place at the right time. But, you know, being at the right place at the right time with the right market, the right opportunity, right leadership team. See, many of the leaders never put that part in because they don't want people to selecting who their sponsors are. But you can't select who your sponsor is. It's just God's going to provide the way. And here's the last thing I'd like to leave with this, because that was one of the greatest 17-minute pieces, and I think it's going to be iconic, Todd. I really do, and I think everybody should use it from here forever. It's the best leadership training, very succinctly, it's very short, but it encompasses more than just leadership. Because network marketing was my way to evangelize for something greater than just money and success. And that's eternal life through Christ.
Yep.
Some people caught it in my businesses, some people didn't. But I know for a fact that many people told me they came to Christ because of being in business with me and the teachings that I taught. Here's what I'd like to leave us with, and I think all of you can agree, and those of you that may be hearing this in the future, some here or not, know this, that God wants us to be prosperous and successful. You just have to have the desire and the belief in yourself and depend on Him, and you can too succeed and be prosperous. Back at you, Todd. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. I
Thank you.
mean, I'm cheering up right now, man. I'm telling you, I'm swelling up. You're going to have me bawling here in a minute.
I was a few minutes ago, so I'm glad you talked so long so I could get my composure back. But I'm going to add one thing on to what Bob just said, because my heart too is to have this be an opportunity to have great impact on people's lives in a lot of ways. But the number one way is their faith and their eternity, because that's something that no dollar can buy. It's just can't. So, with what Bob just said, there's one critical scripture in the Bible to making what Bob just said about God wanting you to have success and whatever you want in life,
Prosperity.
and that is seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added. And
Amen.
that by default, All the things can't be added if you're not seeking the kingdom. You may get a lot of wealth and riches and fame and fortune and all the things, but you can get that from the wrong source, and your eternal life may or may not be what you're hoping for. I'm going to leave it at that. If you don't know today, if someone said, "Are you going to heaven or hell?" and you don't know clearly the answer to that question and why, you know where to find me. I'm happy to have that conversation with you. This isn't supposed to be a religious event, but somehow it became that tonight. Anyhow, uh, putting that slide deck together took a lot of vulnerability on my part because I knew there were some things I was going to have to tell in that story that I'd really rather not to most people. But these people that are here today and the ones that are going to watch this recording, if you know who I am and where I came from, my hope has always been this. I think most of you know I do a faith-based study gathering, whatever you want to call it, Monday through Thursday. And I've had the privilege because a few people, random people, started pointing their audiences to my morning show. I've had the privilege in the last 5 years to lead over 800 people to Jesus and or back to Jesus. That's a big number. And I'm very humbled because I was part of that. But the reason why that worked, and probably why my wife, Juliana, is my wife, is because God told me, just bear it all. And if they love you for who you are, then they love you. And if they love you for who you want them to see, you'll never know. So that transparency is something that I've harnessed myself with. Sometimes it is a royal pain in my butt, but it's helped a lot of people because you don't have to be perfect to be loved by God. You just have to say, God, I want to be loved. And you already are. Anyway, that's enough about that. Armina just put Matthew 6:33. I don't know that scripture off the top of my head, but I'll look it up here in a minute. I want to say this in conclusion. You guys remember Saturday, I believe it's August, I'm sorry, September, no, it's August the 1st. This will be the meeting of meetings, 3 p.m. Eastern time. Clear your calendar, make things go away. If you can't do it, I understand, watch the replay. But Bob and I are going to bring something that is next level, big time next level, in my opinion. That you're all, if you think this 17-minute video was fun or good or great or whatever, thank you for that. This is the crux of what you're going to want to carry for the rest of your life as a leader in network marketing. I promise you that. And with that, anybody who's got a comment or a question, feel free to ask it. But everybody else, I told you I'd keep these to an hour. We're past a little bit. Sorry, I got a little long-winded and emotional in this, but thank you guys very much for bearing with that tonight. I appreciate it. Anybody got anything? Feel free to come off mute, or you guys can get on your way tonight.
Thank you,
Good
Mr.
stuff,
Bob,
Todd.
for what
Appreciate
you
you.
said too. We appreciate you very much, and we're honored to be a part of your team.
Yep, we sure are.
Go ahead, Danny. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. I just was saying thank you. It was good stuff. Appreciate you guys.
Yep. All right, guys. Unless there's nobody else, I'm going to go ahead and shut this down, and we'll see you guys. I will not be here Saturday. Babe, I think you got a feedback there. I will not be here Saturday. Somebody else hopefully will pick up that training. We'll talk about that and post it in the band app. I'll change so that there's no next Wednesday night meeting, no training, but it'll be Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern time is what I'm leaning toward right now. Watch the band app, watch for alerts to come out, and we're going to get our CRM fixed so we can start pumping out reminders in a different fashion to you guys as well via email and text. I love you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you soon.